Hi, my name's Adam Bryce, and we're here today talking about my new show, Manurewa. So I think, I had two main objectives with the show, I guess. One was to try and sort of dispel any kind of stereotypes about Manurewa as an area. Having moved back from overseas and having grown up in Manurewa, when I moved back, it was the first time I was really aware that there was this stereotype around the area being, violent and with really high crime and sort of a dangerous place to go to. Whereas my sort of experience with the area was that it was really just full of really hardworking people. There wasn't necessarily a lot of money around, but it wasn't a bad place to live. It was, it had a really good community and sort of family spirit about it. And so I really just wanted to try and figure out a way that I could just show a sense of normality to people, and sort of dispel those myths around it being dangerous and so on. And then secondly, I really wanted to, as a fashion photographer, kind of just challenge myself and try and see if I could shoot something that was more real, shoot something that wasn't created, shoot something that was, existed, and I guess kind of let go of some of that control around the aesthetic of an image and just focus more on the emotion and those elements of photography that, I do focus on heavily with fashion, but the aesthetic is such an important element of it that you tend to really try and create the entire thing, control the entire image. This way, I just couldn't do that with this kind of project. So it was good personally to try and challenge myself to work in a new way. I've been joking with people recently that luckily I grew up in a particularly bad part of Manurewa, which certainly didn't feel lucky at the time, but it has helped me enormously with this project, because whenever I've approached people wanting to take photographs, they have always been a little bit apprehensive about that, but I would be able to explain to them that I grew up here and this was a personal project. I was trying to kind of just change people's perceptions of the area. Even when I said I grew up here, though, they would ask where, because I think there are very distinctively different parts of Manurewa. When I said I grew up on Jellicoe Road, then that would change people's minds, and they would become immediately much more warm to the idea and willing to help you out and those kind of things, which I found quite interesting. They no longer, knowing just that little bit about your background, they were, everyone was much more willing to, to look at the whole project in a more positive light. Spending so much time out here and getting to know people and taking a lot of images to get to, the end of the project as such, it meant that, a lot of, if not all the images come with some personal kind of experiences for me and good stories to go with them. And there's a great image of a young girl climbing in a playground at school, and that school was the school that I'd gone to at the same age as she had, or she was, and the principal was still the same principal, and which was staggering to me at the time, and the school very much still felt exactly as I remember it, and but that we'd gone through quite a lot of process to be able to shoot in a school environment. It's not an easy thing to arrange, and so all the parents and children were aware that I was going to be shooting those days, and it was this girl, I went to pick her up, to go and get her from her classroom and take her out to the playground where I wanted to just let her interact normally as she would. And she stopped when I got to the classroom. Her teacher said, "Hey, look, it's your turn to go with Adam." And she said, "Well, wait, I need to get changed." And she went and, she'd brought a special outfit, special socks that she'd bought on the weekend, and a little headpiece, and all the stuff. She went and just got completely changed into this outfit that's what she wanted to be photographed as. And I always I remember that, and it I don't know, in a way kind of reminded me of probably what I would have been like as a kid too. I just would have wanted just would have wanted to come across a certain way and just wanted to be my best, and it was a special thing, and her parents had obviously said this is a great opportunity, and it was just, it was great to just see that, people were really into the project and wanted to, have something out of it for themselves, and so that was cool. The image of the pony, which has become kind of an iconic image of the show and the exhibition as a whole, and the book, and just as a part of the works, I think is, for me, not only, visually I really like the image, and kind of the weirdness of it is interesting, but it's also quite meaningful, I think, too, in that for me, the experience I had with that family was really telling of the experience I had of the whole project. It was a grandmother and grandfather who had adopted their three grandchildren because the mother wasn't in a position to look after them. And they were going through that whole process again, and I can imagine it as a parent, parents often look forward to that relief after they've gone through it once, and they were more than willing and happy to go through it again. And it was just all about, they didn't have a lot of money or anything like that, and they just lived in a normal suburban house in the street, and they had a little bit of a backyard, and obviously one of the kids wanted a pony, and they got a pony. And for me, I think that's just so important to of this area, to try and show that there's this willingness to give and put a smile on someone's face, and that family comes first, and it's not about what kind of car you drive or where you live or anything like that. It's just about trying to be happy and trying to live a happy life, and help each other out and support each other wherever you can. And there's no sort of sacrifice felt in doing so. It's just part of what you do, and you're happy to do so.